going on, peeps, and welcome back to another Buzzfeed test. Now, I know a ton of you are probably very concerned by the title because I just did a cheese stuffed onion ring 2 weeks ago, but do not fret, it's different and hopefully gonna be a little bit better. For those of you at home who have been trying these recipes throughout the last few weeks with me and you haven't had a heart attack yet, here's your chance. This week we are trying out the cheese stuffed cheeseburger onion rings. Not sure if that's exactly what they called it, but it's what it is. And there are a few things that I learned from the onion rings I did 2 weeks ago. If you haven't seen that video, I'll leave it down in the description. And I'm going to take all that into account while making these, and hopefully they come out better. Thank you to all of these people who have been suggesting this recipe, and let's get right into it. Alright guys, for this week's recipe, we're gonna actually need quite a few ingredients. So you're gonna start with some oil to fry, some panko breadcrumbs, some onion powder, flour, a pound of ground beef, a humongous white onion, some sharp cheddar cheese, some salt and pepper, and an egg. And we're gonna begin this week's recipe by prepping up our hamburger meat. So throw about a pound of that into a bowl along with a teaspoon of salt, a half teaspoon of pepper, and a teaspoon of onion powder. Get in there and make sure that's all thoroughly mixed up, and after that we're going to set that to the side. Next, once again, just like a couple weeks ago, we have to chop up this onion. And a lot of you also suggested that I use a white onion rather than a yellow because it's sweeter and better to fry with. So that's what I have this week. So once I got both of the ends cut off that and then it peeled up, I cut it into 3 nice big slices and separated those into as many rings as I could get. They tend to stick together, so just be patient, eventually they'll all come apart for you. And you will be right about here. The last prep work we gotta do is to cut up your cheddar cheese into about 1/2 inch wide squares. And for the sake of it, I just cut up this whole block. Finally, we can assemble these things. So start by grabbing a nice little ring, plopping down half of your hamburger meat in the bottom, then throwing a nice big piece of your cheddar cheese. I'm making sure these are big because last time you could barely see the cheese in them at all. Lastly, I covered the top of the cheese with a little more of the chopped meat, and then made sure they were even on both sides. These are looking exactly like the ones Buzzfeed had in their video. So I repeated that process for about 9 or 10 of the rings, until all of my cheese and hamburger meat ran out. And these aren't looking too bad at all. Just a little concerned with the varying sizes and making sure that the meat gets cooked all the way through, especially because the onion is going to cook a lot quicker than the meat in the oil. But let's see what happens. One by one, I then coated each of my rings into some flour, some egg, some panko breadcrumbs. You guys know the drill by now. I kept one hand for the dry ingredients and one hand for the wet. Makes your life a whole lot easier, in my opinion. And at long last, we can get to frying these bad boys. So in your saucepan, throw in quite a bit of oil. I say a lot because these things are like sponges and they're gonna absorb a ton of it. Once that gets nice and heated up, I threw in 2 at a time and let those cook couple minutes on both sides. Once they got to a nice golden brown, I took them out. Still a little leery of the meat not being cooked all the way through, but we'll see. I guess technically you can get a hamburger rare anyway, so... Anyways, once you got all your rings nicely browned up, I threw them onto a paper towel, so hopefully some of that oil comes out. Then I threw them onto a nice plate with some parsley leaves, and these aren't looking bad at all. Let's cut one of these open to see if they're fully cooked inside, and oh boy. Not only is this cooked, but this is looking friggin' amazing. A deep fried onion ring cheeseburger, can you ask for more? Only in America, I swear. I don't know how I haven't had a heart attack from this show yet. Whenever you think we hit a recipe that maximizes the fat and unhealthy level, a couple weeks later you'll find one to top it. That's not even fair. Try to envision the best tasting, juiciest cheeseburger sliders you've ever had, and then deep fry them and wrap them in an onion. And that's basically what this is. Unlike the last onion rings I did, there's plenty of cheese in this. They held together much better than I expected them to. And even though they're as heavy as a cinder block in my stomach right now, 9.5 out of 10. Very, very creative and delicious recipe this one was. Hope you guys enjoyed this week's insanely strange but delicious recipe. If you did, smash a like on this one for me. Let's see if we can hit 8,000. Everyone donate your thumbs, it's free, and let's see if we can hit it. As always, if you have more suggestions for me, leave them right down there and like each other's comments so I can see them. Or just tweet them at me or tag me on Instagram. Those links will be down in the description as well. Other than that, I hope each and every one of you have an amazing rest of your week, and I'll see you right back here next Thursday. Peace!